Are we rolling already? Okay, yeah.
We are rolling. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to SehoPod. This is episode 11, and I'm here with
Ashton Kao.
Ashton Kao. Welcome, man. How are you today?
Doing awesome. I'm so honored to be a guest on this.
This has been long awaited.
Podcast.
This is a really surreal and awesome moment. Where are we, Ashton?
Glad you asked, Seho.
Yeah, dude. It's a great question, right?
We are at the Oasis, is what I call it. This is 30 address because I don't want to leak my address.
You already said too much.
I get it. But this is my humble abode. We're sitting up top on my roof deck, very illegal rooftop deck with a grill on it.
Why is it illegal?
I don't think you're supposed to have a grill on the attic space.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because it would kind of suck if you had like a flaming grill fall on top of you.
Yeah.
But besides that, it still doesn't take away the magic of it. So I live here with my 8 other boys, closest friends here at BC, besides Seho. And it's awesome. It's a special place here, and I'm glad Seho has come to visit again.
Yeah, dude. How'd you end up at this house?
Well, man, that was a tough story. So to give the viewers some context on how housing at BC works, it's essentially like the most random sort of luck of the draw kind of process. So it goes through rounds of lottery, and everyone wants the 8-man style of housing. That's the most spacious, that's the most livable, and it just goes from 8-man and then descending down into just the whatever remainder is left. So it's around like 4 days of selection, I think. And we send it for the 8-man, don't get the 8-man, don't get the 6-man, don't get the quads. And we're down to I think the 9. What was the last pick?
4?
4.
It's like, no. It's 8, then 4, then 6 and 9, then the traditional housing, the doubles.
Regardless, the real kicker of why BC housing is so tragic is because there is a 40% chance that you end up housed next to the freshmen. So the way BC campus works is there's upper and lower. Upper is where all the freshmen are stored at. It's closer to class, but you're just stuck and isolated when on campus. Lower, that's where the real life happens. So there's a 40% chance you get stuck on upper. They call it co-row. And one building, they call it Roncalli. Castle. I think you can, if you can hear some of my lovely friends that came back. But anyway, so I think it's pretty obvious where the story heads, but we don't get our picks. We get co-row where the freshmen are at, and we're like, shoot, man, like I was willing to make it work. Like it's me and my 8 other friends. I'm like, look, like as long as we're together, like we're good. Like, and I was like the main advocate for this. And they're like, okay, yeah. Like, I was like, why don't we just tour one of the places we could be at first, okay? Like, I was like pretty like proud on this, okay? So my roommate Ryan Turnbull, he's a little older, so he knows guys a year above us. He's like, yeah, like one of my buddies, like he's Canadian. One of my buddies, he lives there, eh? He's a good boy. I'm like, okay, let's check it out. I come in there with open mind, okay? I kid you not, I walk in, it's literally like half the rooms are abandoned in the hallway, okay? You walk into this guy's room, and it's like that scene at a toy store, you know, when like all the misplaced toys or like the baby with the spider head comes crawling out from underneath? It literally looks like that. Like half of them are like zombies, like in the room, like, huh? Who's there? Huh? And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I wanted to stay on campus for the sake of community. But if this is the community, I'm good. So I was like, after I saw that, I was like, you know what? I think we saw what we needed to see. So I was like, let's just ship it off campus. And it's actually funny because our friend's mom is actually our landlady. So that makes it a pretty good deal. And that was a really long way of saying that, but yes, we are off campus, and that's why.
It's a nice spot. It's a beautiful spot. I've had the pleasure of being here a couple times already, and great vibes all around.
Yes.
Great vibes, man. I was supposed to live on Co-Road too, but I was blessed with my friend Marcus, who's my roommate, who plays golf, until we got moved.
I was really surprised.
And we
when
would
you
have
told me
we
that.
would have lived in Welch, which
Yeah.
is arguably worse than Roncalli.
Arguably
So
worse. For
I mean,
sure.
it's all really the same.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm blessed. I live in Vandy now, which is a great place to live.
yeah. That is great. You know what's funny? I know like tons of like the swimmer guys. All of them got upper co-row, and they try to appeal. Like they're athletes as well. Like Marcus's Seho's friend plays golf.
Yeah.
They all try to appeal. Didn't work.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was punishment because they're like swimmers or stuff, but yeah.
That's interesting. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. So let me introduce Ashton real quick, and that'll get into our first question. Ashton, you can't say anything. I'm just going to introduce you. Ashton is from H-Town, Houston, Texas. Ashton is an athlete. He's a runner. He's about to be Iron Manner. He is a social content creator, really into photography and now videography, and really into people and real estate and hustle and reading and downtime and just doing his own thing, being in his own lane. And I ran across your LinkedIn page the other day. The one time a week I check LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the first thing I read under your name is that you're a social entrepreneur. What does it mean to be a social entrepreneur, and why are you, or how are you, a social entrepreneur?
Man, I should pay you for the introduction. Social entrepreneur. So what does that mean to me? I'll actually give you some context on like my family background before I go into that.
Yeah, of course.
So both my parents are immigrants. My dad is from India. He grew up in the slums of India.
Oh, wow.
And my mom is from Hong Kong. And they both immigrated to Canada, Vancouver, Canada, and they met somewhere along the lines, along their journeys of life. And they're very two completely distinct different people. Like, but they're compatible. So that's why the marriage works, okay?
Yeah.
But my mom, a lot of people would say, is a lot more similar to me. She's a lot more open and outgoing and kind, and she loves to be social. She's always out, out and about in Houston. My dad, so when they came over to Vancouver, right after my mom graduated college, my dad's like a couple years older than her. Right after my mom graduated, my dad embarked on his real estate journey. So this is why I have my background in real estate, because of my father. So they didn't know anything. They didn't know anyone. They took a car and they shipped it down to Las Vegas, Nevada. And it was just the two of them. And they went into the apartment business not knowing anything. My dad had like a few successful flips when he was younger by himself, but he never really had something of this scale. My mom completely like new territory. But what they did there was remarkable. It was a really rough area because this was when the Strip was being developed. They came there in the 70s or so. And so they both ran as operation. My mom would be the operation side of things.
Yeah.
My dad is more on the financial debt acquisition, all the investment side of things.
Sure.
And that highlights their different kind of personalities, right? So my mom, she'd tell me stories all the time. When she had to take care of the property and stuff, she would tell me stories of how much of a direct role she played in the lives of her tenants. So most of the tenants were low income, either working at the casinos nearby, working as cleaners nearby in nearby houses. So it wasn't really necessarily, let's say, the most welcoming place. There were drug dealers, there was crime, and it was my mom going in there. Mind you, my mom is like a 5'4" Asian lady, okay? Didn't weigh more than like 100 pounds soaking wet. Like, she goes in there with the broom. She's the one doing the action. She's the one getting there every day. So such an inspiration. And so she would tell me that, whenever her tenants had an issue, I remember she told me a story of like a man that he was working at the casino. He dealt cards, but he couldn't walk his dogs because he's gone working all day and the hours he works. So my mom would personally walk his own dogs for him. No questions asked. I'll do it for you. She'll take anything off her back. I'll give it to you. And that is so key to who I feel I am now. Even though I don't really think, maybe it's because of how I was raised and the environment I was brought up in, but I really believe that it's, I would say, yeah, mostly how I was raised. Because, I mean, anyone can be raised in a certain circumstance and come out completely different. But I think that aspect of me, I really highlighted. At the same time, I'm also my father's son. He's a grinder. He's the most hardworking man I ever met. Like I said, my dad came from India. When they immigrated from India to Vancouver, the Indian government only allowed them to bring $50 total for the entire family. They came with only $50. And they lived in the basement of one of my grandma's sister's basement. And they made their dues by just, humble beginnings. My grandma became like a hair salon stylist. My grandpa had a full PhD back in India, but it was a different time. It was racism, prejudice faced towards for Chinese people in India. Couldn't get any jobs with a full PhD as a chemist. So he would make the solutions for my grandma's salon because it was too expensive to buy stuff. So he would make it himself. He would make the formulas himself, make everything. And so that's really where my father came from. And so he really taught me the business side of things. When I was younger, like ever since the age of 5, he would always take me to the job site, whatever house he was flipping, whatever job site, whatever, where he's at. Every Saturday, that's what I would do. That's how I connect with my father. He'd take me and my older brothers. I have 2 older brothers. And we just go to the job site and we just spend the day with the contractors. And that's why Spanish was also my first language. Did I tell you that?
Dude, no.
Yeah, so I learned Spanish first because, I had a housekeeper. And I would only speak in Spanish to her because my parents were off working. And my dad would just take me to the construction site and just literally just give me lunch. Okay, take care of him. Bye-bye. And I would only speak to them in Spanish. I didn't learn English, I kid you not, probably until like I was 8.
Dude,
and I learned Spanish, and then I learned Chinese after that.
Dang.
Because my parents wanted to keep me cultural, so they got me like a nanny straight from the mainland. And so when it finally I started to form, because I was not really speaking English. Like, to my peers and stuff at school, like I would just sort of I don't know, be emoting or something. I don't know. I don't know how to communicate. But I was very quiet. And they thought I don't know if my parents thought I autism or something. But I was very shy. But it wasn't because I just really didn't know how to speak.
Yeah.
So when I started to form my sentences by the age of 8 or so, because it was all coherent in my mind, but wasn't coming out right. I had the funniest Chinese Spanish accent ever. So my mom, once she heard that, she was like, "That's enough! You're not learning both of it."
Bro.
So then she cut off both language learning
Oh man.
things. But sorry, that was a whole detour. But so you have my dad's side. He's a very hardworking man.
Sure.
He's the business side of things. He has vision,
Yeah.
his dream. But that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, the most compassionate lady I know.
Yeah.
She plays a direct role in the lives of the people around her. She wants to be the love that is in her community. She wants to expand that. And I feel that social entrepreneur represents both sides of that. Because that's who I am. I'm not just one side of my parents or even just a combination of them. You couldn't, if you just combine both of their natures together, it wouldn't make me. Because I believe that I have an innate sense that, God-given. I'm not saying this as a brag, but this is just who I am. And I am my parents' children. And because of that, I love to make a difference on the world around me. So, like I said, I was flipping houses with my brothers when I was young. And 50% of the profits, whatever I made, I just donated. I started up my own nonprofits when I was younger in giving circles. And we would all just pool our funds into there. And that's what gets me excited about business. The end goal is not how much profit I can return, how much glory I can achieve, how much impact can I have on my community. That's what gets me excited about business. That's what gets me excited about my next project. If you notice, any project I get involved in or that I start up, it's always about other people. My run club, photography, videography, real estate, whatever I embark in, I never just want to be that Excel warrior behind the desk, you know. I want to be out there. I want to be helping people. And so, to me, a social entrepreneur is just that. Shaping the community, using innovative ideas in ways that other people can't bring. I bring my unique sense of self to the table. That's my, someone would say, what's that word? Not aura. I would say that's just me. You know, that's what I bring to the table. I don't know how to describe it. And I don't mean to come off as like cocky or whatever, but it's just a belief in whatever God has given me. I must use it to my fullest extent. And so, yeah, I should update my LinkedIn also. It's very unupdated. But yeah, that's what social entrepreneur means to me.
Yeah, bro. So when I hear that, I'm like, man, I want to be a social entrepreneur. So how does one be or become a social entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I think, of course, Seho, you completely, of all people, I believe you have what it takes. On the flip side of things, I don't think everyone is meant to do the same things.
Of course.
You know? And that's how God intended things.
Yeah.
We're all given our own gifts.
Yeah, dude.
But to the same impact or extent, I don't think everyone does. But that doesn't diminish their worthiness or whatever dream they have.
Yeah.
For you, Seho, you're one of the most caring and kind men I've ever met, and I mean
That's
that.
all you, man.
Your faith inspires me. Your dedication to whatever you put your mind towards, it really inspires me in every way. And I think you are a very creative person, not only with the camera, but I know you can sing, play instruments. And that's a gift in itself. But to be an entrepreneur, you just have to be able to bring something to the table and apply it in ways that other people can't.
Mm-hmm.
So take, for example, an idea I had, or I'll just give you, I won't say future stuff, but let's say your photography business, okay? Mm-hmm. Any good photographer knows that the real skill in sort of freelance photography and shooting people, shooting portraits, it's not just in the angle of the camera. Anyone can set up a tripod. Anyone can get a flash on that, take the same photo. But a real great photographer is able to evoke emotion, evoke confidence.
Yeah.
And that's something special that you have. So in a way, you're already an entrepreneur, Seho. You're capitalizing on a skill that you have, that you bring to the table and impacts the people around you in other ways that people can't. So you've already figured it out. But how far can you grow that? You know, that's the question.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit, man.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So to any people watching this, you know, you don't have to be the smartest in the room. You don't have to be the funniest in the room. You don't have to be the loudest in the room, for sure. You just have to be yourself. That's the key to being an entrepreneur. Bringing your innate sense of self that no one else can bring.
Yeah.
Seho has a sense of self and character and personality that I can never replicate or wish to become half as, or even a quarter of him, right? And it's the same with me. I have my own sense of self. So that's what it takes to me, to really be able to be confident in your skills and in your trades, that what I bring to the table will confidently help those around me in a way that they can't for themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's a great response. And I appreciate the kind words.
Of course, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's not kind, it's just true.
I appreciate it, man. You know, everything you just said, funny enough, I just started listening to a podcast,
Yes.
and you would love this podcast. It's
Yeah,
called
yeah.
Mere Christians. And it's this guy, I forget the host's name, but he has a lot of mainly entrepreneurs on, Christian entrepreneurs. And they talk about the intersection between entrepreneurship and faith. And a lot of things you just said reflected what I've recently been learning. Not just entrepreneurs, but people who are, let's call them successful.
Yes.
Successful, notable people who are
Yes.
faith. And today I was listening to a podcast episode with Makoto Fujimura, who's a very famous artist. Actually, my dad was once acquaintances with this artist through mutual connections. Anyways, but he was talking about, you know, himself as an artist going to the best art school in Japan. No, it's all good. It's all good. We got some music bumping in the back. We're chilling.
Yeah, I don't know if it was taken away from his message.
No, you're good, bro.
Okay, continue. I'm listening.
But he went to like the best art school in Japan.
Yes.
And he said, I was not the most talented there. You know, we had all these people who also became really accomplished artists.
Yes, yes.
But what did he do? You know, do you know the parable of the talents in the Bible?
I'm familiar, but
So
say it to
basically,
camera.
the simple message is that everyone is blessed with a different number of talents, you know, but quantity is not what's important, but when it manifests in the real world, it's just like we're all born with different talents, and some are born with more talents and some are less. But it's not about being the best, for your examples, entrepreneur in the world. It's about being the best entrepreneur that you can be. You know, God has allotted you certain gifts, and it's about using those to the fullest that you can.
Yes.
Not about being a better entrepreneur than anyone else.
Yes.
Just being the best you can be.
Yes.
And that really resonated with me, not just entrepreneurship, in any talents that we have. In the talents that I have that are different from your talents. We have similar talents,
Similar talents.
but the whole thing holistically is different. And so what I do with my talents, I'm not trying to be a better social entrepreneur than you. I'm being the best social entrepreneur that I can be to glorify God, because He's the one who has blessed me with these gifts.
Yes.
So what I want to do, I want to serve and live for Him by using those talents for good and for His glory.
Yes.
Another concept I learned was about focus. And this is currently, like, I think the biggest thing that's on my mind, because for a lot of my life, I've kind of been spread thin. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I have this that I want to explore. I have this that I want to explore. I have this I want to do. I have this I want to do. But when it comes to really honing in and using the talents to the fullest, I think focus is super important. And similar thing, it was actually, it was a podcast episode with the dude who wrote Thirst, the charity water guy.
Charity water guy,
I
yeah.
think it's Scott Henderson is his name.
Yes.
But the podcast host and him were talking, and then someone brought up, do you know Lin-Manuel Miranda? He wrote Hamilton.
I don't know. I watched Hamilton, but I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with
so
the guy.
hugely accomplished in the musical theater world. He said the same thing. He went to one of the top art schools, you know, performing arts school in America. He was not the most talented. There were people who, you know, were doing crazy things all over the place. But he decided in high school, like, musical theater is my thing. And I'm just gonna pour my all
Yes.
into that. And he's now one of the most accomplished, just performers, writers, all that stuff. So where I'm at right now in my life, with all the talents, with gifts, what I'm doing is I want to find that focus. I want to find that one lane that I can put myself in and just really go full throttle. But seemingly that's very difficult.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was just about to ask you, because I think I struggle with the same thing as well.
Yeah,
When you're just born so curious and you have so many opportunities available to you, it's just like, why would you stop? You know? And I definitely feel myself being pulled in the same way that you described. Not necessarily in a negative way, but I feel like if I could just maybe focus all my attention towards something, then maybe I could really feel the full potential of what I'm
Yeah.
missing out on, right?
Yeah.
But my question is, and this is a separate thing, but what does work-life balance mean to you? And this is, this doesn't really pertain to what we're talking about, but I'm just curious because this is a question that I've dealt with for so long. Because I've always, well, not always actually, I'd say up until recently, till like the last years of my high school so far, it's just anything I do has to be put towards productivity and my growth and helping others. If it's not that, I don't want it. But at the same time, it makes me sort of crazy in a way, feeling that where am I actually like pulling myself? Because when I'm always doing what I feel is, in the right direction, I don't really feel that, because I have nothing else to compare it to, I don't feel the contrast in my life, I don't feel the pull. It's like, let me give you an analogy. You ever use flippers in the pool?
Yeah.
All right, I was just using flippers swimming today, okay? After you do so you put your flippers on, you feel incredibly fast. I was doing butterfly, all of it, okay? Crazy fast. After about 500 meters of swimming or so with the flippers on, it just feels normal. And when you take them off, you really feel how slow the real natural sense of things are. And so when you always have the flippers on full blast, it makes me lose a sense of, and is my natural self, like, does it include downtime? Does it include things that necessarily, not negative, but maybe not put towards my greatest achievements or so? And that's what I mean by the flippers. It was kind of like a crazy analogy, but I don't know if you get the idea or so.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to put across. So like, what does work-life balance mean to you?
It's a great question and something I've thought a lot about, especially last year coming into this year.
Yeah.
I think I didn't truly find out about truly the importance of work-life balance until I more dedicated my life to faith. Because I think having faith puts everything into perspective, right? What is my purpose here on this earth? Why am I living? And once you start thinking about those things, that's when it becomes more apparent that work, productivity are good things, but
Not the most important.
not the most important. Which is tough to battle when we feel so good being productive and doing work,
Yeah.
and see that progression and that there's success and it continues to motivate you to do for it. And those are all great things. But I have a limited time here on this earth, and I've found my purpose, and that is to, while I'm here on this earth, understand what God's love means to me, accept that, really embrace that, and then share that with others, right? So as much as I can go around doing great work, really meeting people, building relationships, doing all those things and inviting people into God's love, how can I do that if I am not myself building a personal relationship with God? So now work-life balance becomes that life part is me pouring into my relationship with God in order to better do that with other people. So for me, that was the biggest realization, to kind of be like, no, I gotta carve out time. Just like I carve out time to do homework. Just like I carve out time for all my clubs and my meetings and doing something like this. In the same way, I have to carve out time and make time in my schedule to read the Bible, to pray, to have moments of silence and solitude,
Talents.
and sleep a lot,
Yes.
and
Oh.
all those other things. Because that is, for my life of faith, that's what fuels me, and that's why I'm living. So I can't call myself a man of God. I can't call myself a Christian if in my daily schedule and my daily habits and lifestyle and actions, I'm not doing those things. So I'm sure there's a great secular explanation to work-life balance. But at least in my faith perspective, that's the way I think about it.
And I think that's the best way. That's the true way to me as well. But yet again, you know, easy to say, harder to do for sure.
For sure.
And this, especially this past summer when I was home for like so much time,
Yeah.
I was really feeling that craze.
Yeah.
But I think it's always important because I wonder, like, why am I doing these things in the first place? Is it where I derive my value from? The answer is no. The answer is no. I mean, that could be, you know, a reason why I chase these things, but I always have to remind myself that, you know, even if I had none of those achievements, none of these goals I set for myself, my true value just comes from being a child of God. And through faith alone, I'm saved. And, you know, that's really something that's so humbling, yet so just makes me so confident at the same time. Because you have the sense of, wow, like, I really am just, you know, His, you know. Everything I do is for Him. Everything is through Him. I am able to do these things. And it just humbles you. But at the same time, it gives you the sense of immense confidence. Anything through Him, I can do. It's through Him I can do anything. There's nothing stopping my way, because He is the one who made this world that we roam. You know, and it's great to remind myself at times. But yet again, I say it's easy to say, hard to do. It's when you get caught up in the moment of the day, you just get in the zone and it just slips you sometimes. But you know, that's nothing that we can't fight with, and nothing that we can't overcome eventually. Um, and just believing that we can, I think, really does it for me. Um, but yeah, so thank you for that answer.
Yeah, dude. And I think work-life balance is also, I think I really admire the way that you find joy and community in all that you do. And that's part of that balance too. Imagine if you were doing all that stuff and you, I don't know, somehow weren't enjoying it or weren't finding the right people. And I think we're both very blessed to be parts of communities, of groups of friends, of whatever we do, and find really joy and passion in what we do.
Yes.
And that's definitely a part of the equation. And I think more and more I want to be kind of selective in a good way about how I spend my time and what exactly I'm doing. Because freshman year, and I spoke to actually Alex about this the other day.
Tchaikovsky.
He was Alex Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
And freshman year, more than ever, freshman year of college, made me realize how quickly time passes. And that also means how limited time is. So what we do with our time is of like utmost importance, you know? And obviously God has mercy, and you know, His mercies are new every morning, and we have new days to be better and grow closer to Jesus and improve as human beings. But that kind of limited time perspective really shapes the way I like live out day to day, or at least I try to. I think about like, how do I want to spend time today? How do I want to serve God today? Because like tomorrow truly isn't guaranteed, and not in like a cliche,
It's not.
saying way. It's like, it's true.
Today, literally, my friend was riding his bicycle around BC, got clipped by a car. hit and run. And I bike down that path all the time for my training, and it could have easily been me. And he's okay now, praise God. But it's hard because yet again, also, it feels like a cycle. I don't know. Because yet again, I see the importance of that. Of course, you have to be intentful with your time. But my mind twisted sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
And
Me
because
too.
of that, you have to be so intentful. It can only be limited to the productivity,
Yeah.
to the grind.
Yeah.
And yet again, it's just setting the priorities straight in your life for what's important. Man, it seems like it's an unanswered question.
There's a lot of unanswered
Because
questions.
you set the priorities, then you realize, are these priorities what I really want? But the only thing that's always right and always stays true is God is always at the first of that answer.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad to have that.
Yeah. And listen, we'll find hopefully we get to a point in our lives, let's say specifically about our, main job, let's say, vocation, right? We'll find something and that'll be our dream, what we wanted, and we'll be super content. And yet we'll still have these questions about all other aspects of life. But that's just like how it is. That's
just
the beauty of life.
I think, that's just the human condition, That's just how we're made. We're always meant to be pondering, looking out for more. But I think the beauty that God gives us is trusting in His plan. Let's just being able to just be comfortable with not knowing everything, trusting in Him, having faith. I don't need to know how it plays out. I don't need to know why it plays out a certain way. I just need to trust in Him.
Yeah, dude.
That it'll work to His way.
Yeah.
That's the best way. But easier said than done as well.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's about all the time we have. And thankfully, I end each episode in prayer. So now, allow me to pray for you about all these things. And then we can close. Let us pray. Dear God, I just thank you for this time that I have with Ashton. To have this time scheduled to talk with him in this way, on this podcast, on this awesome balcony in this awesome house, full of such wonderful people. And I'm just so blessed to know Ashton as a friend, to have met him here at BC, and for us to have grown so much together, and also on our own paths, and that you bring us here to our second year, that you've been so gracious to us with life, with opportunities, that we have so much to experience this year and for the rest of our time at BC. God, we are just questioning a lot about work-life balance, about what we aim to prioritize in our day-to-day lives. God, we will continue to struggle and battle with these things and continue to be challenged and questioned. But God, may there be such a firm foundation in our identity in you. God, that though our work, though maybe even certain people in our lives may fail us, God, that you will never fail us. God, if we fully put our trust in you and trust in your good plan, as Ashton said, God, that we will really able to live our most fulfilling lives here on this earth before you take us away according to your timing. God, I just pray for trust in our hearts, that this year will be fun and exciting, but it'll also, for the first time, pose us with some great challenges and some great questions that honestly may never be answered. But we just trust that you have a plan to work everything according to your good. And that with that trust, we can be just a bit more free of our worries, of our concerns, our stress. And even when those things arise, have the trust to bring that to you and to let it go. God, I thank you so much for this time. I thank you for Ashton. I just pray specifically for Ashton that whatever he does with his friends, with his community, with his family, just all that he is up to this year, God, you have blessed him with so many gifts, so many talents, that he would really think about how to do all these things for your glory, which again, God, for even for me, it's easier said than done. But every day may be a constant, consistent effort. How do I draw closer to Jesus with my gifts, with what I do, with my talents? And may I try to live every day the same way. God, thank you so much. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Oh man, 50 minutes already went by like that.
Yeah, bro.
I feel like I could go do
We
this
could
for
go.
hours.
We could do hours. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Bro, I love you, man.
Love you
thank
too.
Thank you for doing this, bro.
Of course, bro.
Hey, let me say a quick shout out to the camera first, okay? Let me tell you a funny little story, okay? You can edit this in earlier. I forgot to mention this. Let me just tell you about the reputation of Seho.
Oh,
I
goodness,
knew
bro.
about this dude before I even stepped onto BC campus, okay?
Oh, man.
Because I also go to school with a lot of white people, okay? A lot of people say, yo, Ashton, you're just like this dude. And then there's like a ambiguous sort of cloud. Oh, I'm just like this dude. What's going on? I'm like this dude. What? Can you point it out? What's exactly that's so similar? Uh, but so I stepped onto campus, and first day of friends, like I meet, like, oh my goodness, like this dude Seho, I met him during orientation. He's so cool. Like he's one of the most confident dudes, like and outgoing dudes I ever met. I was like, oh man, I want to meet this. And like later on, weeks go by, and I remember Seho asked like a question during one of the convocations, and I was like, oh, that's a funny question. But I met him later on at a random concert we had hosted at BC.
That's true.
And I run into Seho, never put a name to the face yet, and he's like holding this cute camera. He's like, "Oh, I'm like,
yeah.
I go, like, gotta take a pic of you real quick." I was like, "Oh, this guy's real nice." Okay, yeah, like let's take a pic, everyone. And the second I met you, bro, I never told you this. The second I met you, I instantly felt like a connection, bro. And I don't know why. I promise, like I only have this like feeling like with a few people in my life. I can't explain it. It's like I feel like, wow, I can sense this guy. Like this guy has like a tremendous amount of spirit with him. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's take the picture. And we just talked. We were with each other that night. And from that moment, I knew I had a great friend in my midst. So yeah, I'm so grateful to meet Seho and be on this podcast. But
Dude,
that's what I want to share.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
I think I felt a similar way. I mean, I have specifically a photo with just you from that day in the concert.
Yeah.
Pit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful, man. That's awesome.
It's crazy how we're brought together like
That's
that.
awesome. Man. Well, we got to have another one of these soon then.
We do.
A lot
so
more to
much
talk
more.
about.
A lot more to talk about.
We got locked
man.
in on one topic, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But we could branch out into a lot of different
Oh
things.
man, you know me. I like to talk, man.
Yeah,
So
dude.
I got a lot to say.
That's awesome.
I'd love to do this another time as well.
Thank you so much, man.
Of course.
I really, really appreciate it. This was awesome. And y'all can look out for the next episode, episode 12. We just keep rolling. Trying to get to get to at least episode 20 by the semester. But if I film one or two,
40
okay.
40 at the end of the semester
All right,
now.
let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you guys for watching, checking it out, and be blessed. See you next time.
See you next time, guys.